Hey, hey, it's season 2.
Oh wow,
We're in
season 2.
season 2 of this show officially. Can you believe it?
I love it. I'm so excited. Well, we only did like half a season for the first season,
That's true. We started in the middle.
mid-year.
I also feel a bit like it's like we're living in like a dystopian nightmare, and I don't know what
Yeah,
day or time it is anymore.
I don't know.
I
I
have
don't know.
no
I've lost all sense of time. Like
So
everyone said that at the beginning of the pandemic, like in like April, like April, May. They're like, I don't know what day it is.
so cute back then
We were
in
so
the
cute.
pandemic, and
I
here
feel
we are.
like I've like my mind is just like I'm not wearing makeup, but I'm like I don't fucking care. Like, I mean, I just like I
We're wearing
can't.
more makeup for some reason.
You?
Yeah. Like, I really got into eyeshadow palettes. It's been a whole it's maybe it's because, like, now I have to cover myself from the nose down, so now my eyes have become my artist's canvas.
I was into eyeshadow palettes like in like April and May and June and stuff, and then like I've lost it. Like,
I started with no makeup, no bra. Like, I was like, "I'm never wearing a bra again." And then I got into wearing makeup again, and now I'm back and now I'm back to wearing no bra.
okay,
So it's makeup, no bra.
I wear a bra if I'm like on Zoom, but if I'm not on Zoom, then I wear like rags.
Also,
Like,
can we talk about how fabulous is that a jumper? Is that the jumper? Or is that a shirt?
it's a shirt.
I thought you had the sequin jumper as well, but this is a shirt.
A, s- a sequin
Oh
jumper?
God, I thought you had was that from a show we did? Anyway, I just want to draw attention to how beautiful your beautiful shiny shirt.
Girl.
God, is it a dress?
It's a shirt. It's a
Oh,
wrap shirt. It's a wrap top.
God, you look gorgeous.
Thank you. It has shoulder pads, like legit, like
God,
2-inch
so
shoulder pads.
like the most fabulous cocktail waitress / businesswoman.
My gosh.
You had
So
no
I
reason to watch Midcast before. It's to see the shirt that Sarah's wearing right now.
so I'm wearing it because this movie is an awesome a 80s themed movie, and this is in like an awesome 80s type shirt. So
You know what? You nailed it.
mhm.
Sarah, it's a blue, like, what kind of material would you call that? It's shiny. It's very
It's
shiny
sparkly. It's shiny.
material. Well, you look fabulous.
Thank you.
Um,
So do you. Your makeup looks so good, and Nicole's wearing a Pulp
you.
Fiction
I
tee.
am. It has nothing to do with the movie that we're watching at
It's
all.
actually the exact wrong film.
It's the exact wrong film. No one in this movie was involved with Pulp Fiction in any way. Um,
Although there were a lot of people involved in this film, so that's
a
surprising
ton of
that
people.
none of them were involved in Pulp Fiction.
Well,
Do you think?
well, I mean, I suppose if we wanted to like do like a 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, which you literally could do because Kevin Bacon is literally in this movie. We're beating around the bush. Welcome to the Adam and Andy podcast, season 2.
Duh.
Part 2, if you're in the French. What was the name of this competition they were in?
Tour de France.
The Tour de France.
Tour de France.
Yes, so we're talking about Tour de Pharmacy today. And Kevin Bacon is in this movie along with many others. But of course, I am one of your hosts, Nicole.
I'm your other host, Sarah.
And here at the Adam and Andy podcast, we are staving off the quarantine depression and just dread that we're all feeling.
The malaise.
By only watching Adam Driver and Andy Samberg movies. So today's film is Tour de Pharmacy.
It is
starring
bonkers bananas.
Starring ? Andy Samberg. He's not really in this movie very much, but he's in it.
He's in it. He's one of the Fab Five.
Yeah. So Tour de Pharmacy. is what we'll be talking about today. Yeah, this was a bonkers movie. I'm looking forward to discussing it with you. I'm looking forward to making some comparisons between this film and the film we watched in season one,
I'm
which
sorry, could you
was.
repeat sorry, could you repeat that? I didn't hear what you just said.
I'm looking forward to talking about this movie as well as talking about the movie we watched from season one, 7 Days in Hell.
Yes, 7 Days in Hell. I like
Yes.
this one more.
I'd love to, I'm gonna reserve my
Okay.
verdict on that until after we get through a little Adam and Andy news. So would you like to talk about a little Adam and Andy news for 2021?
Sure.
Now, we just recorded pretty recently that Force Awakens episode. I guess it was 2 weeks ago. Was that? It feels like it was yesterday.
Feels like it was last month, which it was
It
technically
was.
last month.
It was the last week of January. So
December.
I don't have a ton of new news. So what do you want first, the Adam news or the Andy news?
Adam.
All right. So I don't have much. Presumably Adam is somewhere being fabulous and shooting stuff. Probably working on 65, getting ready to work on that new Noah Baumbach picture. I did want to talk a little bit more about Annette, which we touched on briefly in the last episode, but I didn't talk about it too much. So Annette, which I have some more information on because I was really just kind of pulling it out of my butt last time. I wasn't really prepared to talk about Annette. I was just kind of pulling things from memory. But so Annette is the musical that I had told you about, which Adam shot that was supposed to be released in 2020, but they delayed it. It was supposed to premiere at Cannes.
Mm-hmm.
But it was delayed. So it's now premiering at Cannes this year. So it will premiere in March at Cannes, the Cannes Film Festival in 2021. You're making a face.
I'm just like, guys, like, get over it. Like, just release it online. Like, don't, like, the pandemic is going to be going on for a while. Like,
Sure.
I don't know. I'm just like,
Well, Cannes might be virtual. Was it virtual this year? I think it was, or 2020 it was virtual, right?
then why didn't they do it then?
They wanted to do it in a theater. Now theaters are open again. I don't know. I won't. I'm not going to be going to Cannes either way. But the sooner they release it, the sooner I can see it. But the goal is they want to release it at the Cannes, like physically at the Cannes Film Festival. I guess. I mean, or they. I don't expect them to wait any longer.
I disapprove.
Than they already had.
Keep
so
going.
Sarah is wagging her finger at the production team or the marketing team. I don't really know how to blame for that. The distribution team. Speaking of which, the director is, gosh, I wish I could have your help with this because you actually, I'm going to butcher this guy's name. Leos Carax or Carax or Carazo. I don't know. I'm not really sure how to pronounce his name, and I apologize. I'm not familiar with his work. Anyway, he is actually a very well-known director. This is his English language debut. Obviously, I am not well known enough to me and my ignorant self who's mispronouncing his name. It is a musical starring Adam Driver and Marion Cotillard, who I also mispronounced her name in the last thing. So I guess this is becoming a neglections corner.
Did you ever watch her Edith Piaf biopic?
No, I did see her in Inception, which I did love.
You should watch the Edith Piaf biopic. It's very good. She plays her.
What's that called? Is it sad?
Yeah, it's about her life. It's about this singer's life, and the singer's life is very sad.
I'm not really in for sad. I'm really not really in for sad right now.
Yeah, just wait a few years.
Sad. I'm gonna have to wait.
Years.
I'm gonna have to wait. There's too many emotions, too many real life emotions happening right now. I also wanted to give you the full premise here. So, Annette again is a musical. The film tells the story of a provocative stand-up comedian played by Adam Driver and his wife, a world famous soprano, who's played by Marion Cotillard. Their glamorous life takes an unexpected turn when their daughter Annette is born. A girl with a unique gift. Sarah made a face.
A unique gift? What kind of unique gift is this?
Well, I guess that's the thing, is we don't know based on this information. I'm waiting for, can we get a trailer? Can we get something? Are we going to have to wait until Cannes to get the trailer even? Anyway. So that's...
I'm also wagging my finger at whoever came up with that log line.
You don't like the log line. They should go back to the drawing board.
Gift. That is not enough information.
I think they're being deliberately cagey about it.
But what I'm saying is
that
it doesn't make me want to know more.
It doesn't make you want to know more.
It doesn't make me want to know more because it's not enough information to interest me.
Honestly, Sarah, all they had to say is blah, 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 played by Adam Driver. And that's all I need to know. So, to be honest.
You're right. And they already have... Cotillard is very good.
She's
as well.
A fantastic actor. So, I'm Adam Driver in a musical.
And they can both sing too, so.
I don't fucking care what it's about. It could be about them eating Twinkies on a porch swing, and I'd watch it.
That's true.
Somebody please write a musical for Adam Driver where he eats Twinkies on a porch swing with his he'd make the Twinkies look so small in his giant hands.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's all my Adam news. So I'm sorry I don't have a lot this week. Andy news. So sad, little sad. It's not sad. It's not that big of a deal. There's worse things going on. I'm such a range of emotions right now. I don't know what to talk about because yesterday there was an insurrection at the Capitol, and I just I don't even know if life makes sense anymore. Anyway, I just had to throw that out there. Yeah. Sorry if my jokes are a little off, but I'm just confused about what's funny and what's not right now.
Me too.
Okay. Just going to put that out there. Andy, of course, is in Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which has been filming in LA. The filming of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, along with many other film and TV programs, has been delayed due to a COVID surge in LA. So LA is experiencing a surge in COVID cases right now. And so filming on Brooklyn Nine-Nine has been delayed, or I guess is on hiatus until the 18th of January. It's bad. It's bad here in Georgia, too. I don't know how much we've mentioned this on the show, but we are, Sarah and I are based out of Georgia, and it is a fucking hellscape. You can't get into a hospital right now. So, anyway.
No matter what you have. So don't develop any issues. Don't have a heart attack. Don't,
Yeah, but keep going to those barbecues.
Yeah. Good job.
Because good job, all you guys who just had to have a normal Christmas in quotations. Thank you very much. Okay. I feel like this is getting a little dark. So let's I'd like to go to a quote. So other things that are going on with Andy. Andy has been doing a lot of interviews and Zoom interviews and whatnot about Palm Springs. So he's been making the rounds for Palm Springs, which is getting a little bit of awards buzz, as we said a couple shows ago. So the LA Times did a piece this week talking about Palm Springs, and I just thought you might want to hear, let me see if I can find it. There's a quote here that I thought you might enjoy, so I thought I'd read that. So this is a quote from Andy. You can tell a lot about a person based on the rom-coms they connect with. For me, it's the ones that are a little messier. I like When Harry Met Sally and Always Be My Maybe, the ones that feel real, where you can see the time spent together and the shorthand and delighting in one another's peculiarities. I agree with that.
I didn't see Always Be My Maybe.
I
think I started to watch it, but then I didn't finish.
Who's in that one?
It has. She did something Cobra, Baby Cobra. Like she's a stand-up comedian.
Yes, I know exactly who you're talking about. Yes,
what's her name.
Yes, it'll come to
damn
me.
It.
I love her.
Yes. And the man is also, I forget his name, but he's also a really good.
Yes, he's great. I love them.
I mean, they're great. It was just like a weird day. I just didn't happen to finish it. But
I'm gonna go watch that. Andy,
When Harry Met Sally is one of those I'm so sorry. I'm yawning. Well, Harry Met Sally is one of those classic rom-coms. I think it's like a Nora Ephron,
Yes. Yep.
80s,
And Rob
70s.
Reiner directed.
Yes, it has Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
And
I've seen that one, Sarah. I'm not living under a rock.
well, for people who haven't heard it, I guess.
Are there people, I mean, am I so old that I can't conceive of this? Are there people, sorry, I just bumped my desk in indignation with my feet.
I mean, it was
Are there
before
people,
my time, and I'm 32.
sure, but are there people who don't know about When Harry Met Sally? Like, sure, that is
People
like
in their
the
20s and below.
pantheon. Okay, all right.
The only reason I
Have
know about
you-
it is the only reason I know about it is because my dad is a film buff, and he shared with me all these different films that were not part of my generation.
Is When Harry Met Sally still relevant? Or have you never heard of this movie? Tweeted us at AdamAndyPod. Let us know. I don't watch, as you know, I don't really watch rom-coms. But I feel like I just kind of assumed everybody knew about When Harry Met Sally.
So I saw it when I was a kid, and
I've
I was
seen
like,
it.
"Oh, this is great." But then I saw it again a few years ago, like a couple years ago, and I was like, "This is bullshit."
Billy Crystal's kind of a dick in
He's
that
a
movie.
dick. He's a big dick.
Should we watch that for the other show, the Feminine Mistake podcast?
Yes. I think it's
By the way, we do another show.
Discussing.
We do another show called the Feminine Mistake podcast. We're actually going into season 5.
Ooh.
I know. So if you like us on a day when we're not talking about the insurrection that happened yesterday, check us out. We also do a show called the Feminine Mistake podcast. Okay, that's all my Adam and Andy news. That's all I got.
Okay,
from the Newswire, the old paperboy. That's all I got.
Paper person, Nicole.
Paper person.
Sorry.
Paper.
That was lame.
It's not.
I can't tell how I'm doing. I don't know. I'm just, yeah.
I get it.
I don't know. It's
I get it. It's
funny.
It's a weird time. It's a strange time. And in the strange time, I think it only fitting that we talk about this really strange movie, Tour de Pharmacy. Are you ready?
Really strange. It's really great. Yes.
So Tour de Pharmacy, 2017, directed by Jake Shemansky, and written by Murray Miller. Same team behind 7 Days in Hell. Same writer-director combo. Yep. And Murray Miller, I believe Murray Miller is friends with Andy, his friend from camp.
He must be, because this script, it's so Andy. Like, I was surprised that he didn't write this. Yes, all the
interesting
macho male humor, the dude humor reminds me of this type of stuff that he likes to write.
That's a good point. And I think it's there's a lot of comparisons here to be made between this film, Tour de Pharmacy, and 7 Days in Hell. Of course, they're both sports parody movies. Basic premise behind Tour de Pharmacy is that there's a huge scandal surrounding the Tour de France. And then we get down to 5 riders. We follow them on their journey. And also there's some stuff about doping in cycling. Mm-hmm. Is a big part of the movie as well, and that's basically the premise: is like, who's going to win the race, who's going to get kicked out because of drugs, and that's pretty much the premise. Where do you want to start, Sarah? Where would you like to start?
I would like to start by telling you that the Tour de France is one of the very few sports events that I've ever had to watch. Like, so in my house,
had to watch or wanted to watch?
Had to watch. So, well, I wasn't like tied down and like with my eyes like.
So it was like it was like Clockwork Orange at your house. Your dad strapped you to a chair and was like, "We are watching the Tour de France today."
No, okay. So my dad loves sports, and he always wanted to watch sports, but our family, we just don't like sports. But we did let him get away with having us watch the Olympics and the Tour de France.
I remember you guys are big fans of
We're big
skating
Olympics.
Yes,
we love the Olympics, or at least I love the Olympics. I don't know about my mom, but Yeah, so and also the Tour de France. He always
Okay.
will watch
So
that, and
you've
so
seen the Tour de France.
I've seen the entire Tour de France. I've listened to him talk about explaining the strategies and, like, how they discuss in this film how you try to stay behind everyone and, like, stay in a line so that
Okay.
you don't get the wind
Right, there was,
resistance.
like, the whole draft thing. Yeah.
Drafting, and so they make a
Yeah.
joke in this that's about, like, no one wants to stay in the
Mhm.
front, so they just, like, try to go as slow as possible because that is true that, like, will they don't want to go faster than they need to because they wanna conserve their energy. Anyway,
Mhm.
yeah, so
So this was, like, right in your wheelhouse.
mhm,
This was, like, tailor-made for you. So you've already said that you like this movie more than 7 Days in Hell.
yes.
Cool. Any do you wanna tell would you like to tell us why, or do you wanna just let it sort of reveal itself?
I mean, I think I like some of the jokes a little more, like,
Mhm.
I mean, yes, they both have very crazy
Premises, yeah.
sexual
Oh, yes.
humor, but I think I just like the specific jokes in this just slightly more.
Especially because I would think because you like the Tour de France, so, this was, like, a thing that totally spoke to you because 'cause you've watched
That's
this
true.
sporting event and
But
it's your
also
thing.
the jokes that I liked didn't have anything to do with the Tour de France,
Okay.
so they were just I just happened to like them more.
Okay, fair enough. I guess I'd like to point out that this movie starts with a death, whereas the last movie ended with a death.
With 2 deaths.
2 deaths. So at the end of, 7 Days in Hell, I don't remember their names, but Andy and Kit
Kit
Harington,
Harington
uh,
kill each other.
simultaneously clubbed each other with a racket and then died and were buried together. That was how the other movie ends. And this one begins with Orlando Bloom, who I fully did not recognize for at least the first third of the movie.
So, I saw that he was top billing in this, so I was on the hunt. I
Mhm.
was, like, looking for Orlando Bloom, and I was like, "Is that
Fully did not recognize him.
he?" They put, like, a goatee on him,
I don't know
and
what it
they put,
was.
like, and he had a French accent, like, a really weird country French accent.
It was so weird. How did he combine country and French? But it worked for me. He looked like Guy Fieri's like long lost French cousin.
Yes.
It was
He was
very
so great,
strange.
he disappeared into the role.
He really did. That he just fully transformed into, let's see, I think I wrote everybody's did I write everyone's names down? I
I
feel
think I
like I
did.
did.
He played Juju Pepe.
Juju, yes, he played Juju. So the film begins with Juju having a drug-induced heart attack on his bike, and then continuing to just his dead body, just like a corpse, just riding the bike, and then he goes
Until
off a
he goes
cliff.
off a cliff.
Yeah, yeah. So I just thought it
Also,
was
his
interesting that
dick
they
is
brought.
out.
Oh yeah, his dick is out.
Like, he relieved himself, and I loved how
He
the
peed, and
narrator's
it's just
like
like spraying
and it was
everywhere.
like and it was like, which they actually do, which that is not something that my dad
Oh,
told me
really?
about.
You don't
Well,
see
no,
it. They don't. You don't see
the
pee pee
narrate
spraying.
no, I'm saying the narrator, who is John Hamm, by the way, hello.
Was that John
Um,
Hamm? I
that was
didn't even
John
realize
Hamm.
that. Oh my god, I didn't know Hamm was
They
in
have
this.
everyone. Like, every
Literally
single role in this is played by someone, like, big. It's so funny.
they did. They packed that cast.
So my dad did not tell me that they pee on the bike, so I was like, "Oh," when the narrator was like, "Which they actually do." You know, he was really leaving himself, and so,
Did your
it was
dad
just
watch this with you?
no. Yes, my whole family did, and my mom didn't recognize Orlando Bloom the entire time,
So what
and we
did your
told her
dad think
that
of this movie?
he liked it, he thought it was
Cool.
funny, yeah.
Um, cool. All right. So what's your next thing? Or should we talk about the writers? Should we go through each of
Yeah,
the writers?
yeah.
Okay, so we talked about Juju. Who do you want to talk about next?
There's Slim Robinson,
Be Still My Heart. Slim
played by
Robinson.
Daveed Diggs, who was in
I
Hamilton.
he is an angel sent from heaven and I love him.
I love him.
And I just like look, I know this is a podcast about Andy Samberg, and I adore Andy, and he's wonderful, but I
Daveed
think
Diggs.
David stole this fucking movie.
He stole it.
Just snatched it right out from under him. You can't not look at him when he's like on screen. He's so good
Lovely.
and just like effortless and just like funny, but also just like so charismatic. I loved him. I loved
Yeah.
Slim. So
Yeah.
he's like Jackie Robinson's grandson or something, the character. Nephew. And so all the writers, we didn't mention this I guess Juju's not included in the older actors because he died.
Yeah.
But all of the younger actors, because of course this film, the bulk of the action takes place in like 82, and so they're showing them in present day. And so Slim is played by Danny Glover.
Danny Glover, oh my gosh.
And he's
in
great.
A
and they
crazy
put this
wig
on him that looks to make him look
gray
like
Daveed Diggs wig.
I know, it was insane. So that's Slim. And then we've got maybe is he the only one who's not on drugs, or it seemed like maybe, or did they say? I feel like Juju was accusing everyone of being on drugs, but I feel like
Juju did admit to taking drugs.
Juju died of drugs, and
right,
we know that I think just about everybody else was on drugs.
Yeah.
Basically.
I think he was on drugs because at the very end, Slim said something about extra blood.
Right. Okay, so everybody was cheating. Okay. Then we've got Marty Haas,
the Nigerian. That was questionable.
I was uncomfortable for a moment until they actually brought in Adewale. I don't remember his last name, but he was an actor on Lost who is Nigerian, and the fact that I know that whole bit of them talking about what it like. At first I was like, ugh, if this is just a joke about the white guy representing Nigeria, I don't like it. But because I feel like the joke was white people always take stuff like and co-opt it as theirs.
Yeah.
And it's stupid and it sucks. And that was the joke. And so I was like, cool. But also he's like rich and entitled and completely out of touch with
blood die.
Yeah. He's
like
just
that picture of him as a toddler holding
playing
like
with the diamonds. It was, it was unexpected take on that character. It was not what I was expecting them to put him in as, but he was still sort of playing this he was kind of playing this doofy, likable trust fund baby.
And he quoted the song Africa.
Okay, the fact that they brought that in, knowing that I have so many friends who are like, that fucking song is so fucking stupid. I was like, okay, I am on board with this. I feel like that character could have crossed over into, this is very problematic. But I think they were lampooning the right thing, which is stupid, entitled white person who is of course in this incredibly white sporting event, representing in quotations the country of Nigeria. So I thought that was funny for that reason.
And he did his voice, his awesome dude voice.
Yeah, he was like kind of stupid. He's like rich and stupid. What was he saying that he was like, sometimes they're out of nerds and they have to ship them in. And I'm like, Dad, I want nerds. And he was just like, very, yeah. So, not a whole lot of Andy in this movie.
Not a whole lot. No.
But he's there.
I had to scour a little tough for my thirsty moments.
There's just a lot of actors in this film and they're all kind of given their moments, and I think Andy was part of an ensemble. It wasn't like 7 Days in Hell where it was like Andy and Kit and then there was other people around him. It was like there was a very large supporting cast and they were kind of trying to give everybody their moment, but each person really did have their own storyline. So if we're going to talk about Marty, I think we should also talk about
Adriana Baton,
who is, now this is one where I had a little bit more trouble deciding how I felt about the setup of this character. 'Cause we have a woman who dresses like a man
but the
to
young version is
participate,
played by a man.
which is played by a man. And
But
Freddie
a very
Highmore did a fine
feminine
job.
man.
Freddie Highmore did a fine job, but I don't know. I'm not gonna say anything else yet. How did you feel about that? Yes, there's a long-running tradition of women, mostly, more specifically, although women certainly dress as men in comedy, but a very long tradition of men dressing as women in comedy. That is very a long tradition. But I'm like, but why couldn't there be like? Why did it? I don't know. I always
Was that
have to
part
ask
of the
myself.
joke?
I have to ask myself, is that the joke? Are we just laughing because a man is dressing
Like a
as
woman
a
dressing
woman,
like a man.
which is not funny. It's like it's fucking stupid. Like, are we is this a thing that is poking fun? Because they also use the term cross dressing at one point, which is a problematic, outdated term that I don't want to hear in comedy or
Did they
anywhere
say that
anymore.
in reference to 1982?
I think somebody used that term during the interview.
Okay. Yeah. Was it an old person?
No, I don't think so. It's just, I don't know. How did
Yeah.
you feel about that?
Well, I was like, "Oh, that's a man." Like, I was like, "Why did they have a
But is
man
that
play
the
that
joke?
part?"
That is
Right,
obviously the joke, right? The
but
joke
why is
is
that the woman who is playing a man is actually played by a man? How is that a joke?
also, why can't the joke be a woman trying to masquerade as a man but is doing such a poor job at it that
Yeah.
it's obvious that she's not a man? That's
Yeah.
funnier to me, because now you're
Yeah.
just laughing at a man dressing as a woman, which is a old, tired bullshit joke to me.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know?
Uh-huh.
So I almost think it's funnier to have her fly under the radar and nobody see that she's a woman, but it's very obvious to us. That's funnier to me.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of comedic actresses. You could have put Kristen Wiig in that role, or
Mhm.
Kate McKinnon, or really
Ooh,
anyone.
Kate McKinnon, yeah.
I don't know. I just wanted to bring that up because that was one thing where I was like,
Yeah.
And Freddie Highmore did a fine job. But I just don't like that old tired bullshit
Yeah.
of, oh, the joke is it's a man dressed as a woman. That's a stupid fucking joke. And I'm just
Yeah.
going to say it. So it's a weak, lazy joke.
Yeah.
Anyway, I can say that because I'm in comedy. Okay.
You can.
All right. So that was
Also,
Adrian.
Gustav
Adrian is played by
Ritter.
Juliette Binoche
Okay.
in the flash forwards, or whatever you want to call
Yes.
them. Oh, and Marty, we didn't even say Marty's played by Jeff Goldblum. We totally glossed over that.
Oh,
Jeff Goldblum,
my
second in command for stealing the show,
God.
maybe?
Second in command.
Second in command for
Oh my
also,
gosh.
did Jeff Goldblum make me a little thirsty? Yeah, he did. Yes, he did. He did. You know what? He's a silver fox and he can get it. Okay? Jeff Goldblum can get it. He has aged into being a gorgeous weirdo, and I love it. Just gonna put that right out there. Sarah does not agree.
He's like my dad's age or something, or older.
Sarah, I think Jeff Goldblum could rock your world if you just open your mind to it.
He's like a cute old man. He's like a sweet little, like, adorable.
He's not like a grandpa,
adorable.
although he might literally be a grandpa. I don't know. I don't know his family. Oh, you're gonna look it up. But he's not like Barney Fife or something, for crying out loud. Anyway, as always, Jeff Goldblum, very funny. Always, he's a grandpa. Yeah, whatever. Grandpa, you know what? Grandpa can get it. I don't care.
He's 68.
I don't fucking care. He's my mom's age. I feel like he could teach me things, though. Like maybe things I didn't know, but maybe wanted to know, but maybe wasn't sure if I could ask about. You know what I mean?
I love that.
All right. Moving on. I think we've got
Gustav
Gustav.
Ditters, played
Mhm.
by something Cena, John
John
Cena?
Cena. So I
Mhm.
don't think there could be those two are honestly matched the best in terms of flash forward and flashback. John Cena and Dolph Lundgren. Just John Cena playing I guess the very obvious doper.
Yeah.
Although he was actually injecting himself with cheetah blood, right? But they
Yes.
couldn't tell if that was a very funny joke, whether he was saying cheetah or cheater. That was
By the way,
actually pretty great.
I was trying to eat my dinner and drink my drink when
Mhm.
we were watching that, and I took a drink right when the screen was like him like screaming and the saliva, and then his face turns into a cheetah, and I nearly died. Like I nearly actually like choked. Like I was actually at that point. It was so bad. My choking was so bad that we had to stop the movie and wait for me to finish eating before we played it again because
Everyone was concerned.
it was so unsafe, Nicole. I could have died.
It was unsafe.
Like,
This movie
it was
almost killed you.
unsafe.
This movie should come with a warning. Do not eat
Do not eat while you watch this
while you
movie.
watch it. Yeah, John Cena was funny. He was funny. Dolph Lundgren was funny. I like the weird hairdo that they gave him. Anything to say? But I don't have a lot to say about Gustav.
I loved when he was going really fast. Like when he was like, and he was like, ah,
it's like I
that
can
was
go fast.
so funny. Just like his giant frame on this like teeny bike, just like.
Can we stop for a moment and just ask ourselves like how exhausting it must have been to film a movie where you have to be on a fucking bike the whole time? Like, bikes are not like that's work. I feel like it would Andy was on that bike for a long time. He must have been, right? Like he must have spent almost the entire movie riding a bike.
And James Marsden, which we haven't discussed yet.
I know. I was just about to get there. Rex,
James
the reporter.
Marsden, Rex Honeycutt.
And you know what? James Marsden is a delight, and they tried to make him unattractive, but they did not succeed.
No.
There's so much
cute.
There's so much sauce. Like there's so much hot man sauce in this movie. I don't even know what to do. This movie is saucy.
I just loved it because he had a mic the whole time and was like one hand on the mic, one hand on the handlebars, and his bike was not a sports bike. It was like a bike you'd wear to like throw newspaper.
He was like a bike you'd ride to the Trader Joe's in.
Yeah, and he was just like, and I loved the joke where like it was like he had to register to ride, and he had done the entire thing and should like to interview them, and then at the end he was like, and I think I might win it.
I'm gonna race.
It was so funny.
Yeah, no, that was great. He was great, James Marsden. Been enjoying him on The Stand. He's in the Stand miniseries, so it's nice to see him in a little bit more of a lighthearted role.
So
but yeah, so that's our main cast.
But we also need to talk about Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, so Kevin Bacon. So this movie is 0 degrees from Kevin Bacon because he's in this movie. And did you write the character's name down?
Yes, Dittmar Clerken.
Right. Actually, one of my favorite parts of this whole movie was the bloopers of Danny Glover trying to say that character's name like
Dittmar Clerker.
Over and over again, and he just can't get it right. Yeah, so he plays like was he like the commissioner of the race or something? And he was in debt.
Yes.
So
and he was in debt. So he asked or like told he blackmailed everyone who was in the race with 170 guys saying like pay me $50,000 to claim that you are not doping or I will kill you.
Them, right?
So he wouldn't drug test them. Or I'm gonna kill you. And so like all of them paid him $50,000 except for these 5.
Except for the Fab 5. Also,
which I love the joke where like they got someone from the actual the famous Fab 5.
See, I kept thinking of, again, because I'm old, I kept thinking of the Fab 4, the Beatles, so I didn't get the Fab 5 joke.
It's a basketball.
Yeah, I got that, but I didn't get it right away. Because I was thinking of the Beatles because I'm fucking old. And I've seen When Harry Met Sally, and I think of the Beatles when I hear Fab Five. So gauge that with however you want to about my the elderliness of me. Anyway, I don't know
Nicole is
where I'm going with that.
68.
I'm
Just kidding.
68 years old, and I am perfectly matched for Jeff Goldblum. I am a ripe peach in his eyes. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
I'm not 68. I don't know why I felt the need to explain that to people.
She is 38.
I can't even believe you said that with a straight face. I'm not 38, right?
I know.
She's 41. I'm 40. I'm actually, Sarah, I'm 40 because the last year was 2020 was a MacGuffin, and we all get to do that year over.
Okay.
So I am only 40, and I will turn 41 later this year, pending how the rest of the year goes.
So I am only 25 then.
Okay, that's fine. I accept that.
Just kidding.
There's one last person we didn't talk about, and that is the secret interview guy that isn't so secret.
Well, there are a couple more, but yes, let's talk about Lance Armstrong.
Lance Armstrong.
Fucking Armstrong, who can act or at least play. He can play himself.
He can play himself. I thought it was very funny at first, but I think they should have used him less because the more I saw him, the more I thought about the fact that he's a lying liar who lied to everyone. Like seeing him like once or twice, I was like, that's funny. He's joking about how he shouldn't be talking about doping because he got caught doping. But then the more I saw him, I was like, now I'm just being reminded of it, and it makes me not like you because you're actually not a good person.
But also like everyone was doing it too, so it wasn't just him, it was the entire system that was like fucked up. And that was the joke about this film, is that the whole system, and so he was just like the person who happened to win a lot.
Sure, but he also was selling. He was selling. I don't want to get into a whole diatribe about Lance Armstrong, but I'm gonna. So it wasn't just the cycling, though. He made a whole empire out of telling people how to be healthy, and being a poster child for the survivor. And people were wearing bracelets that said "Live Strong," and he had this whole website about how to be healthy and eat. He had this whole empire built on health, and it was a lie.
That's true.
Like there are people out there who looked up to him, who probably were struggling with their health or struggling with a cancer diagnosis or whatever, and they looked up to him. I'm just saying, like, it just sucks when your heroes turn out to be dipshits.
He watched the Tour de France a lot, and and at the time that he watched that a lot, my dad was very fit and was cycling.
I remember you told me that
a lot. And then when we found out about Lance Armstrong, it was like, what?
And I laughed the first couple scenes, and my husband Chris, who has never listened to this podcast or any of the other podcasts that we've ever recorded and never will. He's a cyclist. Like, he is devoted. Cycling helped him to turn his health around, and he loves it very deeply. And he doesn't watch the Tour de France or anything like that, but he was getting really into doing triathlons and stuff before the pandemic, and now he can't swim because he can't go to a pool to practice. So that, and he can't go to triathlons either. So that's a whole separate subject. But I was sitting there watching these scenes with Lance Armstrong, and after about the third scene, he was like, fuck that guy. He's like, that guy is a piece of shit. And I was like, you know what? He is a piece of shit. Fuck Lance Armstrong. And I think that if they had just put him in twice, I would have laughed, and then I wouldn't have bothered thinking about how Lance Armstrong is a dipshit that lied to wasn't just part of a lying system, but was part of a whole lying empire.
That's true.
Anyway, I think they used him too much.
Yeah.
They should have sprinkled in a little bit of Lance as a joke, but not put him in so much. I didn't need that much Lance. We get it. This is a joke about doping. The whole movie is. Yeah. But I don't need to see his face that many times.
Yeah, I was actually surprised that he agreed to be involved.
I mean, what does he have to lose at this point, Sarah?
That's true.
I'm sure they paid him to be in the movie.
Yeah.
I'm glad that he can make fun of himself, question mark.
He didn't seem to care that much about making I don't know. He didn't seem
I
to
mean,
be
he is making fun of himself.
Oh, he is, but like
That's the whole joke.
yeah. Yeah, I wonder what type of person he is. Like
He's a person who lies
yeah.
very convincingly.
Do you think he's like a narcissist or a sociopath or
Of
so
course.
something? Okay.
Chris was telling me that when he first wrote that letter refuting the claims, he's like, it was so convincing. He was like, I believed him. Like, I believed that he was an honest person and he was fucking lying to everyone. Just like lying. Anyway, so Lance, I could have done with less Lance, I think, just because after a while, every time I saw him, I was like, ugh.
Yeah. Also, I do want to mention briefly Stu Ruckman, who was the current head of the World Anti-Doping Agency, who talked about
Are you talking about Nathan
how
Fielder?
yes, who he had to try all the drugs.
That was hilarious. And he like my favorite part was when he listed all the drugs that was in Juju's system,
yes.
but it was like so big that the list of drugs was like covering up
like
his
3
body.
columns.
It was so funny, and it was like obviously made up names. And
yeah,
he was. I loved him. Him and oh gosh, why is my brain so old?
Will
you know
Forte?
Who I'm talking about. No, I actually did not like Will Forte's part at all. It made me very uncomfortable.
Yes.
It made me deeply uncomfortable, and not in a way that made me laugh. It just in a way that I was like, I hope this scene is over soon.
Yeah, it was really bad.
No, Mike
Tyson.
Oh, I can see her.
Maya
it's a woman.
Rudolph.
Maya Rudolph. I love her. I love her so much. And she was so funny. I love the part at the end where they're showing her pictures of all the other sports.
As if she's
athletes,
never seen any other sports guy.
You know, gobsmacked by how hot they all are. Like, that was like amazing. Yeah, she's so
like,
funny.
Basketball player? What's a basketball player look like? Holy fuck.
She's like,
shit.
She's like, that's a basketball player? Yeah, no, she was great.
That's a football player? What's in his fucking pants?
I adore her. I adore her so much. Okay. That's like, I think all the relevant characters. What else you got on your list, Sarah?
So, the Finnish credit card commercial for
the milk commercial. Bank. Yes. Can we please talk about that for like an hour? Like endlessly, I could talk about this milk commercial.
We had to pause it and then go back because we were like, we didn't understand this commercial.
I don't think you were supposed to. I mean, to be honest, Maya Rudolph talked about how incomprehensible it was. Yeah. I don't know what's wrong with me, but it made perfect sense to me. I was like, oh, he dropped the milk, and as punishment, he had to eat her out. Duh. Like, is that not how it is at your house?
Why is it punishment, though? Why is eating her out punishment?
Because he spilled the milk.
No, but why is it bad? Why does he not want to?
I'm not saying that eating a woman out is punishment. I'm saying that he obviously doesn't like it, and you can tell by the look on his face.
So funny. He was like,
the way he wiped his mouth off. I was like, honestly, okay, 2 jokes that were not, there were missed opportunities. Number 1, and I'm just going to say it because we already talked about it. At one point, they talked about how you have to get behind the lead guy to break the wind. And I was like, obviously, there's a fart joke here. And they didn't make a fart joke. And I was like, missed opportunity. Okay. Second place where they missed an opportunity was to have milk all over his face when he pulls away and wipes his face.
Oh, my God.
So why? Yes, he wiped his face and that was very funny, but his face was bone dry. So not convincing. Yeah. Not convincing at all. And you're going to tell, like, this is HBO. You're going to tell me you can't pour milk on this man's face before he pulls away from her crotch? I don't think so. So he should have had milk on his face.
Yeah.
But I did enjoy, again, I love a movie where a woman will happily drink a frosty glass of milk while she gets eaten out. I think that's great. Good for her. Living her best life.
I watched this with my parents, and like we all were like, like when that happened, it was like, No.
Well, I it made perfect sense to me as a commercial, for sure. Was it a commercial for milk? I
But
guess the part where it's a commercial for banking was maybe confusing.
I love when, that was the part that was confusing. It was you understood the joke, but you didn't understand how it was related to credit cards. Like, that was the part that I was like,
Got it.
"Wait, what?
I mean, I guess,
Why
you
pay
gotta
now when you can pay later?" It's like, "Well, what how does that make sense for, like, what just
I guess
happened?"
that's the point. I mean, I can rationalize it in my head. Like, every relationship is a system of checks and balances, is it not? It's a supply and demand. I'm just saying. Um, yeah, the
Um,
milk commercial was a highlight, I think, of this
yeah,
movie.
that
I could talk
was
about it
fucking
forever.
crazy. It was very dense. It was very humor dense.
It was humor. It was dense, humorish humor for sure. Yeah,
Yeah. I also
it's like
loved
a
the
block of. It was like a block of French cheese.
yes, it was yes, very dense. I love the dance fight. The fight dance, the where they all fall down. I mean, they do all fall down because Juju tries to molest a woman, and then he falls, and then
Oh
everyone
yeah,
falls down,
that
and then
was
they start to
gross.
fight, and then they start to dance fight, and then Gustav picks up this guy with a tiny pistachio nut and a dirty bird's nest, as Lance Armstrong said.
Yeah, the see-through bodysuit with the dick. So first of all, I just want to say that we thought that 7 Days in Hell had lots of dicks. This movie was like, hold my dick.
Lots of dicks.
So many dicks.
But actually, 7 Days in Hell had a whole cartoon that was full of dicks. So this one actually
This
had
one,
less dicks.
I
It
mean,
had
maybe a
2 dicks.
numerically less dicks, but no, there was. I feel like there was a lot more than 2 dicks.
There was Juju's dick, and then there was the Spanlon guy's dick.
But then there was also like the bear getting
The
his dick
bear
sucked.
getting his dick sucked,
There
you're
was
right.
just like a lot. There was like a whole lot of dicks.
You need to watch this movie if you haven't, because then hearing Nicole say the bear getting his dick sucked, like that should
I'm not going to
that should
spoil it
pique
for
your
you.
interest for
Go
sure.
watch it. I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to give you context for that. But yeah, no, and horror, like a little, like they weren't dicks that I liked.
No.
I didn't care for those dicks. They weren't dicks that I wanted to see.
Like the Juju's dick looked like a sausage or something.
It was like
It
a
looked
limp.
like it was
It
like
was
a
a limp
fake.
sausage.
It was a limp. It didn't even look like a dick. It looked like it was like a fake dick.
Well, it was a fake dick. I whether or not the dick of the guy in the bodysuit was real, I cannot tell. It
I
seems like
felt
maybe it
so
was
bad
real
for him. It was
because
real
it
and
was
so small.
so tiny. He had
And they made a
enormous
joke about how
balls.
tiny.
I know. I'm sorry. I know it's cliche to joke about tiny dicks, but he had like huge balls. They were like
Yeah.
enormous balls.
They were probably just regular size balls.
I don't know. They
And he
seemed
had a
big to
tiny
me.
dick. No, I'm
Yeah.
saying his dick was so tiny that they probably were like
Do you think they
regular
digitally
size.
altered the size of his dick to make it
I hope
funnier?
they did. I hope they did.
I mean, that would be
Because
the
that would be
kind of
sad.
technology and comedy that we're looking for, right?
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
It's
there were
like
just
right
like
by
lots of dicks.
John Cena's face too. That was like
Well, he's a wrestler. I'm sure he's used to dick and balls being in his face all the time. Like that's like
but unclothed, unsheathed.
occupational hazard. I mean,
Like you could have slapped him in the face.
it was unsheathed. It was sheathed, but very loosely sheathed. There was a
No.
thin.
He
Oh yeah,
ripped
that's right. It
that
ripped
off.
open. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I forgot about
It's
that.
called Spanlon.
Spanlon. That was pretty funny. Although, why again? Like, I appreciate the dick humor for sure, but like, there's there's a lot of opportunities missed in these movies. I guess maybe this isn't a movie that's for me specifically, but it's like if you're gonna have if you're gonna have a guy wearing a bodysuit with his dick out, why not show how popular that bodysuit is and just have some ladies with like the most giant bush you've ever seen just like poking out of that why can't we have ladies wearing the nylon bodysuit also, because I think that's also funny.
Yeah.
It's not just funny when you see dicks through a mesh, it's also funny when you see bush. I'm just saying dicks and bush are equally funny.
That's true.
again, missed opportunity. I guess it's because this was such a male heavy movie.
Oh
Maybe.
yeah, for sure.
I don't know.
Um,
But it didn't have to be. They made that choice.
the Tour de
They did
France is
have
all
that. Here's
male.
let me explain further why I did not like the Will Forte scene. Because I felt like there are hardly any women in this movie, and then you've got a woman reporter basically being asked and clearly not wanting to participate in shoving a baton up another man's ass. And it seemed very like she was uncomfortable. I was uncomfortable. The whole thing made me uncomfortable. I didn't like it.
Yeah.
There's so few women in this movie, and to like just have a woman there to have her like shove a baton up his ass, although we didn't see her do it. It's just
She
like,
didn't do
and
it.
he's screaming, and she looks like unhappy, and it made me unhappy, and I didn't like it. I wanted that scene to be over quickly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it went on too long. Anyway, I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah.
Could have done without that scene.
Yeah, that was setting for sure. I mean, I love Will Forte.
And if you want something stuck in your ass, that is okay. There's nothing. I'm not talking about you specifically, Sarah. I'm talking about the royal you.
No, yes, I know.
There's nothing wrong with putting things in your ass. It's great. It's a great thing to do.
But don't force someone to do it.
But don't force other people to put things in your ass, because that makes me uncomfortable. She didn't want to. She didn't want to, and I didn't like it.
Also, do high doses of amphetamine make you
I think that
horny?
was.
I don't think so.
I think that was just a joke.
Yeah.
All right. Oof, boy.
Slim meeting Fabian and just getting out of the race.
So Slim leaves the race for a while. Also, my children are screaming as they do. So Slim leaves the race for a while to become a milk farmer. Is that the right term? A dairy farmer?
Dairy farmer.
I guess it's not milk specifically. And I thought I was sad when he was gone.
Yeah.
I wanted him back, but I saw they were trying to whittle people down. So Juju goes off the cliff. Gustav gets kicked out for using cheetah blood.
Cheetah.
And then Slim finds himself a lady, and they go off to make dairy products together. And he's wearing like cutoff shorts and all that stuff.
Make dairy together.
Which is another tie-in with the milk commercial, maybe? I don't know. But they did have him in cutoff shorts, and you know how I feel about cutoff shorts. You know how I feel about jorts. I'm pro jorts.
Pro jorts, very pro jorts.
I'm very pro jorts, so that was nice. I
didn't like that she didn't have a personality. She was just like, beautiful woman. There you go. That's all you need to know. She's beautiful.
I agree. I didn't care for that either. In fact, I'm just gonna say I did not like this movie as much as 7 Days in Hell. I thought 7 Days in Hell was funnier. Also, there were a couple things that I've already mentioned, like the Freddie Highmore playing Juliette Binoche's character. Didn't love that. Thought there was an opportunity missed there to put in a funny comedic actress. I mean, you can even give her like huge tits. Like that can even be the joke. She has enormous tits, because if you're going to have all these dick jokes, you can have some tits and dick jokes, right? Like, so even just like give her enormous tits, and it's insane that no one can tell that she's a woman. But yet everyone thinks she's a man. Whatever. That's fine. But like, I did not, that's an old tired joke. Lance Armstrong, too much of him.
Yeah.
And just like, I think I got tired of this joke faster. Like if they had cut like the whole premise of the movie, I think I got tired of it. It didn't sustain my interest as long as the 7 Days in Hell did. Now we actually have not hardly talked about Andy at all in his storyline, which of course is that it comes down to him, Marty, and Adrian, or is it Adrian, or what is
Adrian?
So, and they've had a love affair. And I actually thought I thought the scene of their legs bouncing against the concrete was very funny. Did enjoy that. So they go
Yeah.
off, and then they tied their bikes together, and so they're like this. The last two of them left, and then ultimately, Adrian sacrifices herself, so that Marty can win by throwing herself at Rex, because Rex, the reporter, decides he's going to now participate in the race, and they kill him.
And she kills him, and then she gets 35 years in prison. And so, like, we cut to like, she's like, I never saw Marty again. It's like, because I've been in prison this whole time.
But again, it's like I think this movie. I'm allowed to feel whatever I feel about this movie, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you watch this movie and it doesn't matter to you whether the female characters get as much comedy time or as the male characters. Maybe you don't care about that, but I do.
I care about
And
it.
I feel like that relationship was actually something I really liked in the movie. And I think you could have had an opportunity to, like, why didn't we cut back to Marty and get a little bit more? Like, how does Marty feel about not having seen her? Like, I don't think they really. I think they just. It was like. It made me feel like the joke was, isn't it funny that Freddie Highmore and Andy Samberg are going to go behind a rock and fuck? Like, that's the joke.
Yeah.
And like, you guys can do better than that. I just feel like.
Yeah.
I feel like you could do better.
Like, she sacrificed herself for him, and she got prison, and he went on to have a life. And
and like, but how does he feel about that? I'm sure there's like a joke there, or at least like, let's follow the thread of that story. I don't know. I didn't have a problem with her being in prison. Like, again, it's like everything in this movie is very broad comedy. It's like, his head hit the rock and he died, but they could have had some kind of reunion, or we could have cut back to him and he could have been wistful, or he could have been like, I don't know what. But it just seemed like that character got shortchanged.
Yeah.
And so did most of the women. Most of the women in this movie, except for Maya Rudolph, who I think got really good lines and got some really good comedic bits. But they didn't bother to put any. You're putting in all these like great actors in this movie, and I just don't feel like they're affording the female characters in the movie the same. They're not treating them with the same reverence comedically as they are the male characters. That's all. That's just it. And I think that was clear to me in this movie. And I didn't like it. And I think that made me like this movie less. And that's just how I feel about any movie I watch, about when I see female characters being kind of shortchanged,
Yeah.
And there just wasn't enough Andy in this movie for me. Like, if there had been more Andy, like, I hated That's My Boy. Like, that movie was a pile of garbage on top of a garbage pile. But there was a lot of Andy in it. And so I enjoyed it because I got to have enough Andy to kind of sustain me, and his charm to get me through that movie. I didn't like the movie, but I liked him in it. And there just wasn't that much Andy, and he wasn't given that much to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's probably why I didn't like this movie as much as the other movie, which I actually enjoyed. 7 Days in Hell wasn't my favorite movie that we've watched, but I did laugh a lot, and I think I enjoyed that one more.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird. I guess I felt like 7 Days in Hell was much more toxic masculinity, and like this had, I think, because it had female characters like at all, even though they were shortchanged. I was just like glad to see them there at all. And 7 Days in Hell like didn't
I think that's fair. I think for me, the toxic masculinity was being satirized, whereas I think that the masculinity in this movie, I think it was also being satirized, but I feel like the women characters were not treated, like, I don't think the movie was self-aware about the female characters, or as self-aware about the toxic masculinity as it was in the other film. The other film took that and did it better, in my opinion.
I will say that I didn't like the joke where, okay, so there's one joke where, what's his name? Stu Ruckman, the drug guy, was, like, making a joke about, like, "I'm not good at oral sex," and then, like, he looked around and was like, "Right," and was like, "Oh, I just realized that most of the crew is women." And, and I was like, "Okay,
Mhm.
fine." But then in another scene, he says something and a man's voice asked him a question. And I'm just like,
Oh,
"You
so you
already
didn't
made
like
a
that.
joke that
Yeah.
there are mostly women in the
Couldn't
room.
get a woman to
Why?"
read that interview question? Yeah, you're right. I actually did think that joke about him saying, "Oh, I'm in a room full of women," was funny because it feels like a creepy thing that it felt like we're making fun of how creepy, like, how
Yeah.
men just assume that women are not gonna be behind the camera. That seemed like a
Yeah.
funny joke to me
Yeah.
because it made fun of how women
Yeah.
are
No,
treated.
it was just that joke
But you're
paired with
right.
the
Yeah, you
other
like,
joke.
that's lazy. Have a woman ask the question. It's just
Mhm.
this movie was I get that it was like a male cycling competition, but, this movie just felt really devoid of female characters that in a meaningful way, aside from Maya Rudolph, which whereas in 7 Days in Hell, you had, like, you had the girlfriend and you had Venus, not Venus, the tennis player. It's her
Um,
sister, Serena
Serena.
Williams. And you had the mother, and you had oh god, there were a couple of others. Anyway, there were a couple of female characters in there that had like something that moved the story forward, you know? Or they had good comedic lines. Oh, Lena Dunham
Le
also.
Le
Lena
Le
Dunham
Lena
had some really
Dunham.
good lines. I don't know. It's just I don't know. I I I don't know.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I totally didn't think about it because I was just trying to enjoy the film, and it didn't occur to
and
me.
that's fine. I'm glad you liked this movie. That's awesome. I just found myself not liking it as much as the other one, and the more we sit down and talk about it, I think I thought I don't think I was even fully conscious of why until we sat down and picked through it like this, and I think definitely it was easy for me to go, oh well, there wasn't that much Andy in it, so I wish there had been
Mhm.
more Andy. Like that was pretty obvious. Now, what I would like to say is that uh, so Slim wins the race.
Yeah, so Slim just,
David
like, gets back
David
on.
was a highlight for me in this movie. Like when he was gone, I was sad, and I'm glad that he came back at the end and won.
But that's like, I know this movie's broad, it makes no sense, but, like, you can't just leave the race and then come back and win the
Sure,
race.
but you also can't be a reporter and keep up with a bunch of cyclists. Like,
But he had a motor.
oh, that's true. I guess they did. They did make that. They did make that work. Um. Anyway, so I guess I think that's all I have to say about Tour de Pharmacy. Would you recommend? Oh, you got one more thing.
JJ A
Right. Yes,
A
J.J. Abrams.
Abrams.
Well, there was this whole like French New Wave parody scene in the middle with the cyclists and JJ. Yeah, I thought that was. I mean, JJ was funny. There were good cameos in there.
Yeah.
Um, Look, I'm not saying you shouldn't watch this movie. It was funny, and especially if you're into things like the Tour de France. Did I say that French enough?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Then sure, watch it. It's of Andy's films. It's not my favorite one. It's definitely not like. I mean, gosh, if I had to rank them, I think I'd put this like I'd go like that's my boy, and then maybe this one because we've just watched so many other great ones. Like Hot Rod was so great, and Celeste and Jesse is so great, and and I really like 7 Days in Hell more than this. So yeah, I mean, if we're rating it on an Andy scale, I think this is well on the lower scale for me. But I still, if you like Andy, I'd still watch it. You know
I think I'd put Hot Rod below 7 Days in Hell and this.
what?
Yeah.
No, Hot
For
Rod is
me,
so good. Like I would watch Hot Rod again. I laughed a lot watching Hot Rod. Also, peak Andy hotness.
yes, peak Andy
Peak Andy
hotness.
hotness. I mean, I'm sorry, Palm Springs also peak Andy hotness. Different types of Andy hotness, but vintage. That was vintage peak Andy hotness. Palm Springs is like, like just like
Slightly aged.
I don't want to say age. That seems unfair. Like I'm thinking I was about to say age like a fine wine, but he's not that
Yeah.
old. He's like the same age as me. But
Yeah.
like he's come into his like he's really like he was beautiful as a young man when he was in Hot Rod, but he's like I feel like I almost feel like he's more like he's like he's like beautiful now. Like he's like
Yeah.
he's because he's still beautiful, but
Gravitas. He has more
yeah, his gravitas,
gravitas.
like his he's developed, he's evolved, his comedy has evolved, and there's something really hot about that to a comedian like myself, to see a man to come into his own and to really like evolve his work. So yeah, I mean, Palm Springs is peak Andy Samberg hotness, like for real. And this was like for me, this movie.
Yeah, so this came out in 2017.
Yes, so it was like 2 years, I think, after 7 Days in Hell. Do you have anything else you want to say? Would you recommend this movie?
Yeah, because it's funny, but I think it's silly, and I think if you go into it knowing it's very silly and very like dude comedy, and that's what you're expecting, I think you'll be satisfied. But yes, it is very dude centric, dick centric.
This movie has a hard on for dicks.
That kind of stuff, like if you can just like take it with a grain of salt and be like, that's what this is, like, yeah, it's hilarious. But if you're not looking for that, then it's kind of like
I mean, I definitely laughed. But if I was gonna say, like, if you're like, oh, I'm not really into sports, which one should I watch? Like, they're both kind of the same type of jokes. Like, they're in the same. Both these are like, you know, very similar movies.
Yeah,
I would watch 7 Days in Hell. That's what I would do.
Yeah, and I think it really is.
But if you really like to beat Diggs, watch this.
I think it really is my affinity with the Tour de France that maybe skewed me to this film, because tennis really bores me to death.
I just felt like the writing and the directing was tighter for me in the other film.
I also don't like Kit Harington as much as these actors. Like, I like these actors much more than I like Kit Harington. Which is shocking,
because you were hard up for Kit Harington in the last time we talked about that movie.
But he didn't, I don't know, he was very adorable, but he didn't have a lot of personality.
That's true.
I don't know.
Which is maybe how I felt about Andy's character. Like, Andy has so much personality, and I feel like this character that he played didn't have that much personality.
Yeah, he didn't.
Other than like the joke about him being a rich white guy from Nigeria, there wasn't a lot to that character for me.
No.
Okay. Moments of thirst. 3 thirsty moments, 3 moments of thirst.
It was
Sarah.
Hard.
Whose turn is it? It's your turn to go first, right?
Sure.
Okay.
So this was hard. I watched this twice.
It was hard.
The first time I didn't take notes. So I guess my first would be like, this doesn't really, I don't know.
You seem like disappointed.
Like,
this is the least thirsty I've ever seen you.
I guess when he's talking, it's like his douchebag accent, and
you like it
when we first meet him. Like, I think it's kind of cute. Like, I mean, but for me, it's cute. Like Andy Samberg doing that voice, not like the character. Like, ew, but like just like I don't know.
All right.
Second,
you don't seem thirsty. I'm just gonna say
these next two are more thirsty. So. The second one is when Adrian and his bikes are tied together, and he looks over at her or him and rubs her shoulder, and just like just that look that he gives him. What am I saying?
You'd say her. It's a she character.
Yeah. When he looks at her and just like, and like he didn't seem to be like putting on, you know how Andy like can sometimes put on a lot of like an emotion or a mood.
Yeah.
I
when he's doing his sketch acting.
Yeah.
This is when he was like, he had already sort of, I think, transitioned into more grounded acting at this point.
Yeah. So he was doing a more grounded, like, just like, I adore you. Like,
yeah, I really believed it.
Sweet.
I actually really I didn't love, again, I spoke at length about how I felt about the casting, but I was very charmed by their storyline and their relationship.
Yeah.
I was very charmed by that. Yeah.
And then my third moment of thirst is when he breaks off to try to win the race,
which he doesn't.
He turns the corner, and this like African music starts playing, and he's like in slow motion, and he's like looking at the sun. He's like, and like he's
the
like
triumphant squint.
cycling.
Yeah.
And just like, and like I'm just like, all right, that's cute. That's cute.
Okay. All right.
But then Daveed Diggs totally steals the moment.
I mean, he steals the whole fucking movie, honestly. All right, Sarah. I feel like I don't think you were thirsty. I think you were offered a glass of water and you took it out of politeness. I'm just gonna say it. I think you were thirstier watching 7 Days in Hell.
That's true.
Yes, it was hard to pick moments, and I think that's because there just wasn't a lot. I mean, there wasn't a lot of Andy in this movie, or there just wasn't a lot of him being featured. But somehow I managed to, being the incorrigible horny person that I am, I was able to come up with 3 moments of thirst. Number 1, I'm gonna have to give it up to spandex. Oh. There were a lot of shots of Andy being interviewed wearing spandex, and it was revealing. It was revealing in a way that I
didn't look at his crotch at all.
You didn't? How could you not?
What did it look like? I didn't look at it.
Well, go back and watch playback, Sarah.
Remember how I don't see nipples? Like,
you're nipple blind. We've already discussed this on the other show that you're nipple blind. If a character audience to catch you up, Sarah, if we watch a movie and somebody's nipples are hard under their shirt, Sarah doesn't notice it.
I don't notice.
She does not see nipples.
So
you also don't see crotches now. You're also you're crotch blind. Is that what you're telling me?
Not now. Always. I've always been crotch blind. I'm gonna start a
GoFundMe for you. No, in the first scene where he is on being interviewed by Rex,
he's like, I was rains down in Africa.
My eyes immediately, like a beacon, like a lighthouse, I was drawn to the crotchal area in the spandex. So I would like to thank this movie for finally giving us that, whereas many other movies have hidden the package from us.
I'm actually really concerned about myself. Like, honestly, what is wrong with me?
You like what you like. And if you want to keep your eyes up, you keep your eyes up, Sarah.
But like, why can't I?
But they're wearing bicycle shorts. Why would you not look at the crotch like that? I
don't objectify anyone. Like I don't think like that.
Said the person who started a thirst podcast about Adam Driver and Andy Samberg. So spandex. I would like to thank you, spandex.
Right.
Number 2, I struggled with this a bit, but I had to give it up to the shirtless massage scene. I didn't find this shirtless massage terribly erotic. Like it was verging on erotic. But we never got. But Andy did have his shirt off, so I'm going to give points. Also, I did enjoy the trifecta joke. That was one of my favorite jokes in the whole film. Was the joke about the trifecta, which of course is when you shit, piss, and ejaculate at the same time. No. Sorry. Shit, puke, and ejaculate at the same time. That was funny.
Which is horrible. Sounds like the worst day ever.
Don't picture it. Do not. Just don't. That was very funny to me, that whole scene. And then lastly,
I think your body even do that, because you know how like when you're in stress, like your body
I think you probably
can't do certain things. Could you be horny enough to ejaculate when you're like having?
Well, I don't think he was horny. I think he was like being just really massaged intensely, and his body had like a uncontrolled response. right? That was what
I wanna
happened.
do research on this. I wanna get to the bottom of this. I need to ask some scientists if this is
Are
physically
you a
possible.
scientist of the human body? Tweet at us at AdamAndyPod. Is the trifecta physically
Can you
possible?
ejaculate at the same time as puking and shitting?
I think you
Please
certainly
tell
could.
us.
If it happened to you, please don't tell us the story, though. I don't want
It
to know.
can't I can't
Just
know
a
because I
simple
don't have a
yes or
dick.
no is fine.
Yes.
Lastly, and I think the big star here was the thick thighs. And I'm going to say thick with 2 C's. Andy's thick thighs just rotating on those bicycle pedals
How did I not see this? I love thighs.
was one of the highlights of the movie for me.
Thighs. I love thighs, Nicole. You know this.
I know you love thighs, and I was very surprised that you did not comment on his luscious thighs once in this entire discussion. It was shocking to me. I'm shocked.
I need to revoke my like Andy fan card or like my straight card or whatever. Like,
you can go back and watch this movie again if you want. It's on HBO. And just look at nothing else but his thighs.
Okay.
Just do a thigh watch.
Thigh crotch. A thigh crotch watch.
A thigh crotch watch. That's the next viewing for you. I also wanted to give some honorable thirsty mentions to Daveed Diggs. One for the jorts, because I'm pro jorts.
Mm-hmm.
And then secondly, just for when he's just squatting down to milk that cow.
I don't remember that.
You don't remember when he's talking about the dairy farm and he's like sitting on the stool and he's like squatting? Anyway, those are my 2 honorable thirsty mentions. Because he's a beautiful man and I have to appreciate.
My thirsty mention for him is just when he breathes.
Just when he exists.
Mm-hmm.
As you would imagine, I'm normally up for pretty much anything in the bedroom. But I can't tell if what happened was weird or sexy.
I guess it's time for some Adam and Andy trivia.
Correct. Adam and Andy's trivia. Because right today, you're going to guess a question. I'm going to give you A, B, C options.
Ooh.
I'm just going to change it up every time.
I like it that you keep me on my toes. So Adam or Andy, a trivia competition for one. So explain the rules to me this week again. You tell me what to do.
I'm going to ask you a question, and you're going to choose A, B, or C.
Oh, I love it. Okay, great. This is great. Okay.
Why did Andy, Akiva, and Yorma name their production company The Lonely Island?
Ooh.
A.
Okay.
It was what their kids nicknamed the lunch table where they sat in middle school. B. It was the nickname they gave their apartment where they all lived together after college. C. It was the name of the first film project in high school that gained them some attention from their classmates.
Wow. I desperately want number 1 to be true. I desperately want that. Or number A, letter A. I desperately want A to be true. My gut tells me to go with B. I actually have no idea. So my gut is telling me B.
Your gut is correct. It's B.
It just seems like something a bunch of bros would do. That is fucking adorable. That is the cutest fucking thing I've ever heard. Although I'm like, you know how they used to, I don't know, this again, I'm showing my age here, but in the 80s, they used to take characters that shouldn't be babies and make them into babies. Like at one point they took a Roseanne Barr and made a cartoon called Little Rosie where they made her like a little girl. Yes.
No.
And then of course they had the Muppets and they made them into Muppet babies. So what I would love is for them to take the Lonely Island and turn them into babies. And then I want to see I just want to see a whole show about the Lonely Island babies in middle school. I'm pitching it to you right now, Andy. I'm pitching
Andy,
this. Consider this an official pitch. I want to see a movie about awkward, like Yorma, Akiva, and Andy in middle school just trying to fucking get by without getting stuffed in a locker. And just sitting and forming their own lunch table called the Lonely Island. And I want to see it. And I'm pitching consider this a pitch.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh. I want to see that so bad.
I do too. So if you want it, you know where to find me at Adam Andy Pod. Just direct message me and we'll make it happen.
Oh, you look awesome. Come the fuck upstairs.
Okay.
But wait, I have to warn you about something.
What?
If you come up here, I'm gonna tie you to my bed and keep you for at least 3 days. I'm just in that kind of mood.
Are you ready to spin the wheel?
Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna spin the wheel now. And also, I did want to mention that a listener did tweeted us with a suggestion for a show that we can watch. I can't remember what it's called. Let me see if I can look it up. Maybe Cuckoo. Anyway, a listener did send us a helpful suggestion, so thank you for that. We really appreciate that. Of a Andy Samberg show that we can watch where he's in like 5 episodes, so we could make like a 1 episode thing about it. Let me see if I can find. Okay. Yes. Andy is in Cuckoo, and he's only in it 6 episodes. So yeah. So thank you for that. We appreciate the suggestion, and we will check that out. So that's something we can add to the Andy wheel. Of course, the next film we'll be watching is going to be an Adam film. So are you ready to spin this wheel, Sarah?
Yes.
All right. So let me get my screen up. All right, here we go. So we've got. I want to watch this movie so bad. The Man Who Killed Don Quixote. This Is Where I Leave You. What If? Midnight Special. And Patterson. That's what we've got on the wheel today. So let's spin that wheel. This Is Where I Leave You is going to be our next one. So that's what we're going to go for next. I remember seeing that one during my early days of quarantine, 2014. That would be Adam Driver, Jason Bateman, Tina Fey, Jane Fonda, Rose Byrne, Catherine Hahn, Connie Britton, Timothy Oliphant, Dax Shepard. And the synopsis is, after their father passes away, 4 grown siblings are forced to return to their childhood home and live under the same roof for a week, along with their oversharing mother and an assortment of spouses, exes, and might-have-beens.
That sounds good.
So that's What If. Or not What If, This Is Where I Leave You. This is where I leave you. Yeah.
Okay.
So that'll be our next Adam film. This Is Where I Leave You. I'm actually like really looking forward to talking with you about this. I think this is going to be a good one for us to dig into. And I like this character a lot. So I think it's going to be a little different, I think, than some of the other stuff we've seen. Anyway, so that's it. So come back. A couple things I wanted to plug before we go. Of course, one of the things that I love the most about doing the show, besides watching all these awesome movies and talking about these 2 actors that I love so much, and I hope I wasn't too harsh on Tour de Pharmacy. I love Andy. I did actually laugh a lot. There were like a couple of things that I like that my brain wanted to pick at. But I did laugh. I love Andy. I actually wish that I had a little bit more of them, but I guess not every movie can be about Andy, but maybe all of them should be. Like literally all of them, except for the movies that Adam Driver's in.
That's
and
true.
Those movies should have more Adam Driver.
They need to be in a movie together. Anyway, keep going.
They do. Okay. So one of the things that we deeply love about this show is talking to you, the listener. So please tweet at us at Adam Andy Pod. What did you think of Tour de Pharmacy? Did you disagree with some of the things that we said? Did you have some other thoughts? What were your moments of thirst? Let us know. Also, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Adam and Andy Podcast. The other thing I wanted to plug is our one of our other aliases, our other identities, and that is Critical Crop Top. Sarah and I have been working with Critical Crop Top for the last, how many years? I guess 5.
2016.
If we're going into season 5 of the Feminine Mistake podcast. So Critical Crop Top produces this podcast, and it's our comedy group of sorts, I guess, if you want to call it that, our production company. So it produces this podcast as well as the Feminine Mistake podcast. But we also shot a sketch comedy web series. So it's really just sketch comedy. I'm releasing the first sketch next week. Yes, starring Sarah Allison Hodges, the first sketch. That's the first sketch that's coming out. That's going to be coming out.
Lingerie.
Yes. So if you want to check out Sarah in some lingerie, it's a very funny sketch. I'm not going to tell you what it's about because you're just going to have to watch it. It is going to be released on Monday, January 11th. So we're going to be releasing 2 new sketches every month. We shot them entirely over Zoom to, keep everybody safe during this crazy time. So we shot them over Zoom. And they're all, I'm really happy with the way they turned out. I can't wait for you to see it, Sarah. We did it in a really kind of weird way because we were like shooting coverage, but over Zoom.
Did you use the close-ups only or somewhat? I'm sorry. I'll talk
You'll have to see.
Okay.
But yeah, so we did this whole thing where we shot all of the sketches and shot everybody's coverage and edited together. So it's not like a live thing where everybody's in little boxes. I mean, they are in boxes because it's on Zoom, but we actually cut the thing together like you would cut a normal sketch. Anyway, you don't care. You don't care how the sausage is made. The point is, we shot a bunch of sketches and we're really proud of them. And they're going to start coming out this month, and I'll be releasing 2 of those every month. For the next 5 months or so. And that's on Critical Crop Top's YouTube channel. So just look for Critical Crop Top on YouTube, or you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Critical Crop Top, and check out Sarah in next week's. I guess actually by the time this comes out, this sketch will already be up. So you can go and watch it right now, because this episode is coming out on Wednesday the 13th. So the sketch will already be out. So go right now and go to Critical Crop Top and check out that sketch, which I won't tell you what it is. You're just going to have to find out. But it's going to Critical Crop Top Sketch Comedy Web Show is the name of the show. So that's it. That's all I've got. Thank you, Sarah, for thank you for a amazing first episode of season 2. Here we are in season 2 of this bullshit. I don't want to be a nerd.
This bullshit.
I don't want to be a huge nerd, but listeners, I did get a little freaked out and go, oh my God, do we have enough? Because I love doing the show. I'm like, do we have enough? How many movies and TV shows do we have to actually keep this going? Just so you know, I counted, and we can keep this going, even if they don't make anything new, either of these actors. We can keep this going for at least the next 3 years. So all of you doubters on Instagram and Twitter, not my listeners, not me. I'm not taking ownership of you, listeners. You are independent of me. But our listeners, not you doubters, but the randos that asked me how we could possibly sustain this. Well, guess what? These guys are prolific. They are not to be fucking trifled with, and we can keep this bullshit up for the next 3 years, and I fucking will, because I love doing the show with you, Sarah.
Oh, I will. And then we'll move on to John Krasinski.
What was the name of that? We're not seriously starting another podcast.
Just John podcast.
Oh yeah, we were joking about starting a John Krasinski podcast and calling it the Just John podcast.
Oh my gosh.
We are incorrigible. I love you, Sarah.
I love you too. Oh my gosh.